It seems like every few years we start worshipping a new piece of drinkware. Was this time for a good reason? Also, some guy got his head cut off. Let's get into that right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Alternative Jargon episode number 31. Did you guys hear about the guy who got his head cut off? This happened in Pennsylvania, the same state where I am and where, a lot of things are. So this guy thought his dad, I guess, was a federal agent and beheaded his dad on a YouTube video and then showed it. And that's pretty wild. Now, apparently the video was up for a little bit too before it got taken down, which is laughable, because, I made a joke 2 episodes ago that got my video taken off of YouTube almost instantly. But cutting heads off is just kind of how to beat the algorithm these days, apparently, at least for a short amount of time before it gets taken down. So I'm going to be honest, I didn't read the whole article on this guy, and I'm kind of shocked because I heard about this maybe 3 days ago at this point, and I go to all the big nationwide news sites, CNN, Fox, AP News, all of them, and this story is like nowhere to be seen. Now, I understand people die every day, but it's not every day that their decapitated head gets flaunted on a YouTube video. But this is not really being mentioned anywhere. The only places that I heard about this story from were one of my favorite comedians that I follow on Twitter, and my mom, of course. I don't know where my mom heard it, but, actually I do. Actually, my sister works right where this guy fled to. So he hopped a fence and he was going to try to go kill more feds after he killed his dad. Yada, yada, yada. Look, this is obviously a terrible situation. Decapitation is, not really on my bingo card for this year. But I gotta say, this guy probably had an insane algorithm on his social media accounts. Okay, I've got $100 that says this guy has one of the greatest Facebook wormholes and algorithms of all time. Okay, he was definitely on Facebook, right? Facebook is, as ironic as it sounds, I feel like Facebook is the closest thing that we have to like the Wild West still on social media. And that's very ironic because it is by far the biggest social media platform in the world, right? People that don't even have an internet connection have a Facebook account somehow. I'm sure like the uncontacted tribes on North Sentinel Island off the coast of Sri Lanka probably have Facebook accounts, and they have never even seen a phone, right? Zuckerberg just has access to all that. And ironically, I feel like some of the most wild stuff still stays afloat over on Facebook. Before all of the crazy community notes and things on Twitter, I would say Twitter was the Wild West. Back in 2020, you could go down any rabbit hole you really wanted. And that was when, shortly after that, is when all that stuff sort of got wiped off, right? Twitter had a QAnon account that had like almost 1 million followers, which is insane for a conspiracy that's sort of that niche, right? It's not just people posting pictures of the Twin Towers. This was, the people worshiping Donald Trump as their god. So, I'd be willing to bet that this guy had a crazy Facebook page. By the way, I've heard, too, that Instagram Reels is sort of like the Wild West or like the new Live Leak. I am not really an Instagram Reels user. I post clips from this show on Instagram Reels because obviously you have to post stuff everywhere if you run, any type of thing online now. You got to post it everywhere. but I don't myself use Instagram Reels. But I've heard that, every other Instagram Reel is somebody getting killed or, car crash videos. You have it, you name it. But yeah, I would honestly pay good money to see this guy's Facebook homepage. I want to know what Facebook groups he's in. Like, who does he follow on Facebook? Who is he friends with on Facebook? He's probably got some really, really juicy, meaty content on his page. So my thoughts on this, though, when you sign up for a new social media site and some of them will pop up with a thing like, what are you interested in? And you have to check boxes. Oh, I like sports. Oh, I like movies, this and that. If there is an option for like politics, and you check that box when you're signing up, I think that social media site should just ban your IP address and not allow you to use that social media site. And, all these social media sites, they sell all your data. Everyone knows that. I think, too, we could take it a step further and say, if you check the politics box as one of your interests, that social media company should be able to sell that data to your internet provider and sort of have you wiped off the grid. Okay. When you mix politics and social media together, it's usually not a great outcome. Okay. We've got a lot of stuff going on, and it starts off with you commenting under a meme saying, this is so true, so relatable, inflation, this, that. And, 6 months later, you are detaching body parts from your father's corpse. So, obviously, I'm joking. This guy definitely has a major malfunction. And whatever he was seeing online, whatever was radicalizing him was only accelerating his insanity, being a catalyst to his mental condition. But still, I think if you check the political box, I'm of course joking. So yeah, really fun story to start the year. This is the second time we've had like a crazy killer on the loose thing in Pennsylvania this year. We had Danilo Cavalcante last fall, starting off 2024 strong with a decapitation. What's next on this wild ride? This does, and I mentioned this back in September when I did an episode, and I mentioned Danilo Cavalcante. This does feel like something out of like the 1920s or something, when you just had crazy burglars on the loose, because, we had no fingerprint evidence. We had none of that. There were just people robbing houses, killing people. Jack the Ripper was around at the turn of the century back then. You just had criminals all over the place. And to be honest, I don't blame them, because if you can get away with it back then, hey. But that's what this stuff reminds me of. I will always hear a story that my parents tell where they're like, oh, back when I was in high school, there was some guy on the loose, and one of my friends from school swore they saw them while they were out and about at the mall when he was on the run and this and that. I feel like you don't hear about that stuff as much anymore. But yeah, we've had two really, really great stories the past 6 months or so that really remind me of that. So I will have some fun stories to tell my kids someday as well. The tradition continues, okay? But yeah, let's talk about the Stanley Cup craze. Now, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but if you clicked on this hoping to hear my NHL playoff predictions, that's not what we're getting into. And to be honest, if I was the NHL commissioner, I don't know his name, I might have to think about suing, okay? The Stanley Cup has been an icon of the sport of hockey for well over a century now, I believe. And now, if you Google search Stanley Cup and you go to Google Images, the Stanley Cup, the real one, the one that you win when you put a puck in a goal, not the one you get a target, is only about half the image results. And I don't even consider it a cup. Okay. I'm a drinkware enthusiast like anyone else. That's a tumbler. Okay. It's a tumbler. Like the social media page. It is a tumbler. That's how I would define it, at least. Okay. A cup has an open lid. A cup is something that you go to the sink and fill with water at 3 a.m. when you're thirsty. And you sit it on your nightstand. It's a tumbler. Let's get that straight. So if I'm the NHL commissioner, I'm going to sue Stanley and say, look, you guys have to fix the name of this and get on with that, because my sport is being ruined by this, right? This is how they're going to erase our hockey history, okay? Wayne Gretzky is rolling over in his grave right now. Wayne Gretzky's still alive, but you get what I'm saying. But yeah, I'm a little bit late to this topic. I know that the Stanley Cups have been a big thing for months now, a long time. But I think it's worthy to talk about it. And as a fellow drinkware enthusiast, I would like to comment on it. So now these cups have straws in them, and that is a feature I never have liked. The only time I want a straw is if I am at a restaurant or if I get fast food, but I don't really want a straw for like permanent purposes. That's just me. I just like to sip out of stuff, right? Like this, okay? Here's your ASMR. Can you hear the ice? All right. That's what I like to do. But people love the straw. And I have to admit, the top of these things, like the top of the tumbler, they're pretty cool. They do look cool. So the Stanley Cup is now being collaborated with other brands, though. Starbucks is the collaboration that people were absolutely going insane over. There's also other collaborations where they release like a one-time limited color, and, you know, people are being trampled to drink their water out of a new colored thing. So that's interesting, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But they did do the thing with Starbucks, and I've got to say, I've never understood the Starbucks cup craze. Like, not the cups that you get with your drink, but the Starbucks cups that you go and buy. Look, if I want a solid piece of drinkware, I'm going to go to a drinkware company. And that's one thing I do respect about the Stanley craze, is that Stanley has been around for 100 years, and they've long been an icon of the everyday blue-collar man, and that's something I respect. So I'm glad that at least the right company is getting this amount of traffic for the Stanley Cup. That I am glad about. But this is a one weird form of OCD I have. Now, I can't do this for everything, or I'd be poor. But if I'm going to buy something and I want it to be like a nice quality thing, I'm going to buy it from a company that specializes in that thing, okay? I'm not going to buy shoes from Old Navy because they specialize in clothes. I'm not going to buy a camera made by Beats by Dre. I'm going to buy it from a camera company. Now, Beats by Dre does not make cameras, but you get the point. I'm not going to buy, I think you get the point. So, like I said, you can't follow this methodology for everything because specialty products made by specialty companies cost more. But if I want something nice and I know that I'm going to use it a lot, then I'm going to spend a little bit more if I can. Now, the irony in this is that the water bottle I use every day is from Walmart. But it is a very nice water bottle. Ozark Trail, $8. It's comparable to Yeti, by the way. But yeah, no, I really do respect the Stanley Cup movement. My dad has one of the old Stanley thermoses from, I don't even know when, the 70s or 80s. Like the grayish, greenish ones with the big handle. Really cool products. The only crappy thing is those do not fit in any cup holders. But what are you going to do? You can't ask for everything. So, I'm glad that these tumblers are being sold by Stanley and not by like the Kardashians. Okay, the Kardashians have enough money, and they're not my favorite people ever. Call me a hater, but hey, they know how to make money. I'll give them that. They know how to make money. Now, the new chief marketing officer, whatever you want to call it, of Stanley, he actually worked at Crocs before he worked at Stanley. Now, if you know anything about Crocs, then you know that they exploded a few years ago back into the mainstream. Like, I remember when Crocs first came out when I was like a really little kid, and they were like a complete joke, right? Everyone had a pair, but everyone sort of was like, yeah, these things are ridiculous. Look at them. They're stupid, but I'm still going to buy a pair, and I'm going to put charms in them, of course. I had like the Lightning McQueen charm. Did not have the Lightning McQueen Crocs, which are now insanely expensive. But anyway, speaking of those Crocs, the chief marketing officer of Crocs is now in charge of Stanley, and he's sort of the guy that got all of those collaborations that Crocs did in the motion. So Crocs had like a KFC collaboration where you could get a charm that looked like a piece of fried chicken and everyone lost their mind. They did a collaboration with Post Malone. And by the way, all of these Crocs now go for, some of them, thousands of dollars for resale on like StockX and stuff, which is just insane to think for Crocs, right? They turned Crocs into a hype shoe, which that's kind of an accomplishment, because Crocs, I feel like, had about a decade of downtime. And then I would say maybe 2019 just absolutely exploded again, and everyone wanted a pair again. And now they're cool. And now Crocs are like $60 for a pair, which I don't think they were always that price. Look, and I'm guilty of this, okay? I needed a pair of shoes to wear to the beach this summer, and I got some Crocs. Okay? So yeah, I mean, turning those shoes into a hype sneaker is unthinkable, but they did the unthinkable. So yeah, those shoes, and now these Stanley tumblers, by the way, that have collaborations are now on StockX. Okay, you can now buy a drinkware with a straw in it on StockX. Okay, forget about legendary baseball cards, right? Forget about really cool Jordans. Nah, I want a water bottle. Okay, like $300, which is just absurd. But yeah, these are now things that are resold. They're resold by grown men who run bots all day on the Nike sneakers app. Okay, how does it feel to go to work every day knowing that some dude who rips Jeebs all day and eats Cheetos makes your yearly salary when a new pair of Dunks come out? Or in this case, when a new Stanley comes out. Okay, how does it feel to hit that final snooze button and get up for work, and you come to the realization that Croc has a fried chicken charm that will make more profit than you will ever see in your life? Probably not good. All right, some teenager who sells Xanax and limited edition water bottles at school owns a car that he can start while he's still brushing his teeth in the morning. All right, he looks out the window, hits his fob, and his car is nice, warm, and toasty when he gets in and goes to school to sell more Xanax and more limited edition water bottles, right? And honestly, hey, good for them, because let's be real, if we could do it, we would too, all right? The kid's never going to know what it's like to scrape his windshield, probably. So I think this is a good opportunity, though, to talk about quote-unquote jobs that really put nothing back into society. And I'd like to preface this segment by saying that if you can successfully pull any of these off, I am very happy for you, and I am not a hater. But I'd still, like to talk about them. Just because they don't advance society forward doesn't mean that I think they're dumb. And if you really think about it, do any jobs really do that? That's a discussion for another day. And hey, I'm sitting here talking to a camera, and this does nothing for anybody. And honestly, I think if we got rid of most podcasts, the world would be a better place. Maybe this one included. So I have no room to talk, but I'm still going to, because, that's what I like to do. But, I always see people on TikTok and other apps, and they're into these quote-unquote hustles you can do, like drop shipping, okay, buying a bunch of little junk from some place, moving it to another place, and selling that little junk at another place for higher prices. They make things on Etsy, okay. They're putting that craft kit they got for Christmas 12 years ago to use. And hey, at least they're using it. There's people that sell kids on Wayfair.com. Hey, whatever puts food on the table. But do you guys remember the Wayfair thing back in 2020? This was the height of when everyone started to pretend to care about human trafficking and stuff like that. But there were cabinets being sold on Wayfair, but they were named after missing kids, and they were being sold for like 10 grand. So got to make ends meet. Okay, it's tough out here, and all that stimulus check money is gone. Now, maybe my favorite side hustle of them all is starting a masterclass. As far as I know, this one's kind of dead today. I haven't seen too much talk or discussion about masterclass in a long time. I think the last time that I heard masterclass being mentioned in like a mainstream place was when I saw the ad for Steph Curry's masterclass in like 2019. That's how far this one got. Okay, you could give money to Steph Curry for him to teach you how to play basketball. I don't know if that money went back to Curry or if it went to some charity that he does or something, but this one's really funny to me. Okay. Look, you're either going to be good at basketball or you're not. And signing up for Steph Curry's masterclass, okay, you're already too far gone. You're too far gone, and I hate to break that news to you, but someone has to do it. Okay, if you really want to get good at basketball, get your ball and go shoot hoops. All right, watch the games, join the team, do what you got to do. But, giving Steph Curry $20 a month or whatever it costs, I don't know if that's going to do it for you, and I'm really sorry about that. Yeah. So much that goes into sports are completely unteachable, okay? And I'm convinced that if you took a kid whose dream is to grow up and be an NBA player, and you put him in a Groundhog Day scenario where every day he wakes up and lives the same day, and he's able to practice basketball for all that time, right? Basically freeze time and just grind every day. I saw a video once where they tried to calculate how long Bill Murray was actually stuck on Groundhog Day, and I think it ended up being like 100 years or something crazy. But basically, you give this kid a 100-year head start over everybody to become a test tube Victor Wembanyama type basketball player, and then when he finally reaches his absolute mastery, this average kid, then time goes forward again. And then you make that kid play Steph Curry one-on-one Curry's going to break his ankles, hit a step back three in his mouth, and that's the end of that. And I truly believe that because there's a lot about sports that, hey, you're just born better, okay? LeBron James would not be the greatest of all time if he wasn't born 6'8" with a 40-inch vertical. And that's the harsh truth. That is a really, really harsh truth. So I'm really sorry, but signing up for Steph Curry's masterclass just might not be it. But I will say this about anyone who signed up for Steph Curry's masterclass. You are still better than anyone who signs up for like Andrew Tate's business seminar or anyone's business seminar. Okay? I cannot believe that there are still people successfully making money off of this. And I don't know who's buying these classes and these programs, whatever you want to call them, because it's always the same pitch. It's always, I made $50 million last year, and I will give you my strategy on how you can do it too for, 3 payments of $19.99 per month. And it's like, good Lord, these are secrets you're not going to hear anywhere else. I just can't believe that there's still a market for that and that it still works, right? The people in our generation make fun of old people because when they get a scam phone call, they give, $500 to some dude halfway around the world who's scamming them. But then these same people will go buy Andrew Tate's business program. And, the other thing too is that we used to make fun of old people because all they do is fight about politics online. Guys, look at us. Look at us. Take a look in the mirror. Are we doing any better? Are we really doing any better? Okay. Look, I don't want to talk trash on the whole online class thing too much, though, because I will say this. If one day by chance this podcast were to take off and go somewhere, I'd start a class. Wouldn't that be great? Every time this podcast gains a subscriber, I am one step closer to starting my online course about growing your show. After a few fees and payments, of course. Look, climb the ladder and kick is sort of the moral of every story ever, okay? That's how it's always been done in the entertainment industry, right? You got the gig, and they didn't. So mislead them so that you're the only one with the gig. Isn't that how it works? Isn't that what everyone does? You have to continue the tradition. And I think that's the only appropriate thing to do. So, climb the ladder, kick. And for my Stanley Cup enthusiasts, sip the straw and pull it out. You're the only one that got the sip. Now no one else can sip. Okay? And look at that, man. The Stanley Cup is so versatile that it can be used for analogies about the entertainment industry. Isn't that poetic? I think that's a very poetic way to wrap up this episode. I'm going to go fill up my $8 Ozark Trail water bottle and get hydrated. So we'll see you all next week. Have a great day.